All right, episode 5, the last episode, coachability, the non-negotiable. Here's something that almost never gets said out loud in basketball analysis. Coachability is one of the biggest and most important predictors of development and breakouts, right? And it's almost completely unmeasurable by stats, right? Think about it. When you think about what coachability means, it means a coach tells you to do something and you've got something wrong with your game, you listen to them. You fix the flaw. You don't have defense. You don't dismiss it. You go and work on it, right? It means when you get benched, like Keontae George, midway through the season, you don't check out. You study, you adapt, you come back better. You keep pushing. Every player in this podcast, George, Danny, Duran, they all had a version of this, right? George got benched, used it as a masterclass in off-ball movement. He could have pouted. He could have, been angry, requested for a trade, all that type of stuff. Instead, he watched film of the best off-ball guards in the league and rebuilt a part of his game that didn't even exist the year before. Danny dealt with 2 lazy passes in a game in late January, and it responded by becoming one of the most trusted closers of his team by the end of the season, right? The player development staff described the transition and the decision-making as one of the fastest they've ever seen. Duran just kept working year after year, elite efficiency with low shot volume that requires a specific kind of patience and trust in a program that a lot of players don't have. He never complained. He never forced shots in games that he wasn't. He trusted his coaches, and the organization rewarded him, right? They gave him more opportunities and stuff like that. But let's talk about the mental resilience, getting through a down year. So most breakout players have a down year, right? Unless you're a freakish athlete, one of the crazy hyped prospects, you might come to the league and you might just be a star from the start, but looking at our 3 players, George lost his starting spot. Denny came off the bench for first half of the year in Portland. Duran played 3 seasons, getting 7 shots a game, knowing he could handle double that, right? The question isn't whether adversity comes. It always comes. The question is how you actually respond to the adversity itself. So first year in Portland, there was an interview. Denny was talking about how he likes being super close to his teammates, coaches, and the city. And starting over at 24 years old is definitely hard. He's across the country from his family and his hometown, in a completely new setting and environment, which is insanely hard. He didn't hide from that. He actually admitted it, and he worked through it. By the end of the season in Portland, he's playing like an all-star, and over the final 20 games of the season, he is an all-star, right? The mental resilience to push through the adjustment that he had to adapt to not let the difficult situations take the best of him and create excuses for his performance. That's what separates him from other players. He saw the flaws, he saw his struggles, and he fixed those and built off of it. He kept pushing. Then when we go to George, he had a similar moment. He lost his starting spot. The easy narrative that he wasn't just good enough. We've seen 2 years of him. He's just not a good shot selector. He's he's just a shot chucker and stuff like that. The real story was that being benched forced his evolution, and that his response to adversity was that now he's averaging 23 points and 61% true shooting. Duran is a little bit quieter, 3 years of patience, 3 years trusting that the numbers would eventually, like speak to the coaches, and they're like, hey, like we've got this guy who's the second most efficient scorer in the league. We need to let him shoot the ball more. We need to get him the ball more. And that's what happened with the three of them. And then we go into basketball IQ, something you can't really coach into someone. It's a little bit controversial, right? You say you can't teach basketball IQ. I'd say, it's partially wrong, partially right? You can develop it with experience and study, but there's a baseline level that exists or doesn't. What is basketball IQ in this context? It's reading the game faster than the defense or the everyone else on the floor, right? Knowing which man is open before you catch the ball, knowing which shot is right for the moment, and the one that is will make you regret in the long run. So Denny at 25 is like a basketball IQ story. Most wings, you ask them to play point guard midway through the season, it's going to be pretty rough. They're going to turn the ball over, make bad reads, bad decisions. They would struggle a lot. But Denny did that very easily, and we wonder why. It's actually because Denny, as a teenager in Tel Aviv, he actually got his experience by running the offense, being the brain of the offense. And that's where the basketball IQ, the ability to apply learning situations years ago to his current situation, came into play. And then George's off-ball movement is a little bit of IQ too. No one told him exactly where to stand or what to do. No one like scripted anything or mapped it out for him. He actually watched film, understood the principles, and applied them in real time at game speed. And that's the kind of learning that separates the good players from the great ones. A lot of players aren't coachable or not the most coachable. They have that high ego. They're coming out of high school and college where the coaches are just giving them the keys to the offense, and if they're just like turning the ball over and they're just not doing well, the coach, they're not going to pull them. They're the star player. But in the NBA, if you're not efficient, if you're not coachable, you're not going to get that playing time. So being able to adapt to that situation in the NBA is key. 5 episodes, 3 players, 1 big thesis. Let me close out with something practical. Here's your breakout candidate checklist. 5 things to look for. When they all appear together, that's something you point towards for a breakout. 1, per 36 minutes, that outpace their current role. Production's there, the minutes aren't. Number 2, usage rate has been climbing each season, and the efficiency stays there. That's like an addition, right? That's the rare combination. That's what we saw in Denny and George. Number 3, a team situation where minutes and shots are actually available. A rebuild, a trade, a key injury. The door has to be opened, right? Number 4, a physical skill or skill set development. You can see in the numbers, free throw rate creeping up, 3-point percentage improving over the year, and field goal percentage holding at elite levels, stuff like that. And then finally 5, a player who has been through adversity and responded, got benched, got traded, struggled with a new role, and came back. Now, looking at this as a whole, there's definitely plenty of candidates for a breakout. And, you could look at people that have been currently or drafted in like the past 2 years, like Alex Sarr. I would say he's the strongest prediction, right? He came out of the draft 7 feet tall, 20 years old, And his second year in the league, he's averaging 16.3.7 rebounds and 2 blocks per game. That number puts him second in the entire NBA behind Victor Wembanyama. Pretty crazy, right? He has been dealing with injuries a little bit, so that's something that is you need to look into. And then he's retained or has maintained his efficiency. Rookie year, he was shooting poorly, under 46%, 30% from three on bad shots. Cleaned it up this year. Field goal jumped up to 48. His 2-point percentage went to 45 to 52. More efficiency, same usage. The trajectory is pointing up. You can look at Jalen Wells. He's kind of more of a sleeper. His per 36 is showing he's capable of 18 to 20 points a night with more shots. His usage is climbing. The Bane trade accelerates this dramatically. Bane was obviously that main scorer, that main offensive guy in Memphis, right? Now you have this younger offense that needs their true scorer, their true guy. And you could say that's Cedric Howard, you could say that's Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson. All these guys have a super bright future. And physical development, he's only 22 to 25 is the breakout we indicate. So and his shooting form's already clean. He's shooting 40% from three as a rookie. So it's just a matter of time and opportunity, I would say, with Jalen Wells. And then Scoot Henderson, this one comes back. It's a little bit different, right? Scoot Henderson has been one injury away from a breakout, I would say. Drafted 2023, same class as Keontae George. Per 36, he's showing 18-point range, which is pretty solid usage. If he stays healthy, Portland will give him that opportunity. And we're actually seeing that more in the playoffs. He's having a little bit more of a breakout because of some injuries, right? Team situation, Portland rebuilding teams give young players more opportunities, physical development, 21 years old, right in the window. And then the last one is kind of a long shot, I would say. We have Zachariah Richachet, number one pick. This is where I'm kind of going against the narrative. His rookie year, 12.6 points, and this year it dropped to 10.7. He fell out of the rotation and got lost in Atlanta's rotation shuffle. Every analysis is cooling on him. That's why I'm bringing him up, right? Here's the thing. His true shooting percentage this year is 56.1%, almost identical to his rookie year. The efficiency didn't drop. It's the opportunity that actually did. He's the Denny of 2022, good stat per minute, disappearing box score, people writing him off. And now add this, Trae Young got traded. And Trae Young needs specific things around him. He needs shooters. He needs stuff like that. He's 6'8" and 6'11" wingspan. He's already shooting 39% from three. Looks clean. And, Trae Young with Denny alongside him didn't happen. Portland got Denny first. Then the last one, we're going to talk about Zachariah Richachet, former first overall pick. This is kind of a little bit going off of the narrative. Richachet, number one pick in his class, rookie year, 12.6 points, all first rookie team, looked like a foundational piece to the Hawks. Then this year it regressed. He dropped to 10.7 points, fell to the rotation, got lost in Atlanta's rotation. Every analysis is cooling on him, and that's why I'm bringing it up. His true shooting percentage is 56.1%, almost identical to his rookie year. So it's not like his efficiency dropped. It's just the opportunity did, right? And you can take that into consideration of the player changes in Atlanta. They got Nicky Alexander-Walker candidate for one of the most improved players. They have Jalen Johnson, who is now averaging like 29 or 28 and like 7. They're pretty stacked. So, it may just be Ricochet just doesn't fit into this Atlanta offense. But overall, looking at breakouts as a whole, there's pieces that you can see. There's pieces that are just behind the scenes that just can't be seen, like off-season work, stuff like that, fighting adversity. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, leave a like, anything like that. I had a great time doing this. I love letting, casual fans know more about the NBA. If you're just watching because you're interested in what proves a breakout, or if you're just watching it for fun in general, it was awesome. I had a great time doing it, and thank you for watching.